Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. This is our recorded flip to collaborate for assessment 1. So I'm going to spend some time going through the assessment details, hopefully some more tips and some avoidance of blips. And yeah, so I know quite a few of you have joined groups and got started, so you should be fairly familiar with the assessment detail itself. If you aren't, or if you're still not in a group, I would like you to make sure that you've done that by Thursday. And if you have any questions following this, please make sure you post them on the discussion board, or at worst email me and I'll support you through. Because time is getting away from us, and this is week 2, and the due date for this assessment is the 9 AM Monday the 15th of August, week 6. So we have some time, but as we all know, it catches up. Okay, I will proceed. Assessment 1A, the team analysis. The aim and purpose of the assessment is to demonstrate that within a team you can analyse a scenario relating to science education that demonstrates your understanding of literacy across the curriculum. For the task, the assessment is based on your ability to meet the criteria for the following unit outcomes. Number 1, critically analyse the teaching of literacy across the curriculum. And number 2, differentiate between formal and informal literacy learning and thinking. So as a synopsis, a team will analyse the scenario shown and identify the literacy demands and dimensions within the scenario, the underpinning issues, and where possible some overall broader approaches, considerations and recommendations. This will underpin your thinking around further specific teaching strategies and recommendations linked to Assessment 1B. So yes, the two tasks are interrelated, but please focus on the learning objectives for the Assessment 1A for this assessment. The skills that you will need in order to successfully complete the assessment include your demonstrated knowledge and understanding of a number of key topics, concepts, particularly focused on the Australian curriculum. That includes the literacy demands and dimensions, the strands and learning continua as it applies to specific year levels, which is focused in weeks 2 and 3. Then you're also going to demonstrate your knowledge of formal and informal literacy, which includes definitions and examples, which we covered in week 1, and we reinforce those through weeks 4 and 5. I've had a few questions about finding further information on informal and formal literacy, which isn't as easy as it seems, and I have pointed that out to you, and that was in response to Carmel's question. But we can also define it through making links to inquiry and authentic approaches which align to formal and informal strategies. So they are mostly linked to informal teaching methods and also informal assessment. So making comparisons between the definitions and suggestions that have been placed on the discussion board, and also for you to be able to draw conclusions to whether inquiry or authentic learning is similar or encourages informal learning experiences. So for example, the artefact of the Anzac biscuit tin that was used to get the conversation going, that was used as informal literacy because it's something that students could possibly relate to. They may see something like that in the supermarket. So by bringing that into the classroom, you can use it to identify prior knowledge, create discussion through open-ended questioning, and then using it as a hook to make links to social history. So a student may say, yes, I've seen something like that at the supermarket, or I've eaten Anzac biscuits before, and then bringing in the Anzac story. And I know that somebody else posted a picture of the ration pack. So then you can actually start to draw some links between their understanding and growing the knowledge. So I guess that's informal literacy because it will stimulate discussion, it will stimulate understanding, and it will also then be able to make links to the formal learning within the curriculum. And lots of people have done that as well with their other examples. So please go back to the discussion board and have a look at those and start drawing those conclusions that you're going to need for the assessment. Okay, so an analysis of the scenario case study and the elements and aspects within it. The Q&A section has some other details in response to the questions raised by Neil. So thank you, Neil. They were fantastic questions and they came up quite early. And I think that what we worked through has provided a little bit more information just by gleaning what we could from the case study itself. So I would say that the majority of the children would be either Indigenous or ESL needs, and that would be representative of a school that has a cohort like that, and that's certainly one that I've taught in. So it's almost an ESL school in a mainstream setting. So you're really supporting those students with vocabulary, authentic learning experiences, and building up their prior knowledge, which they may not have. An analysis of the Australian curriculum, learning continuum, general capabilities, and the content descriptors which link to literacy, and what these mean for skills children demonstrate at their age and stage of learning. So we're looking at that this week. So we're looking the model of the general capabilities is where we start, and then we move into the subject-specific areas. You're identifying the relevant learning continuum level. The focus is on grade 3. There may be some discussion and need to differentiate the learning, including the EAL needs. An evaluation of the Australian curriculum and literacy demands for the 21st century learning, and or how these approaches may support particular students' literacy needs, demonstrating critical thinking. Now I've just noticed that my screen is interrupting the text there, so I will post this PowerPoint so that you can see any missed words. My apologies. And then also you'll be assessed on your teamwork. So the ability to work as part of a team to analyse and form consensus and ideas related to the scenario, which I know you'll all be really good at. So unpacking the task. The assessment for 1A is important to identify and analyse the issues and broader considerations and demonstrate a clear understanding of the literacy demands and dimensions, the meaning of the Australian curriculum elements, and understanding of general approaches, authentic learning, inquiry learning, informal and informal literacy learning, and also an analysis of how all these should factor into planning approaches and future strategy. Then you can refer back to this assessment in 1B as the rationale for your approach. The assessment rubric prioritises an understanding and analysis of formal and informal literacy, literacy dimensions, and the Australian curriculum, and these are covered in weeks 1 to 3. Weeks 4 and 5 should be used to provide a general evaluation of how other curriculum pedagogy and whole school approaches should be considered when devising strategies. Please skip ahead so that you can evaluate and contextualise your own research and to contextualise your understanding. So not only is 1B in weeks 4 and 5, but you need to go there so that you can actually pull that back in for weeks 1 to 3. So it's sort of working backwards. And you could also break up your tasks within your team to bring back the findings to contribute to the team knowledge, as this is what happens in a teaching context, especially when you're planning a unit for learning. You may suggest that the way that you best approach it could be that teachers take off different roles and then bring those back. It's efficient and it usually works really well. Okay. So linking it back to the weekly content, weeks 2, 3 and 4 activities are particularly useful in analysing the curriculum and understanding a range of learners and their literacy levels that may be present in the classroom. Weeks 3 to 7 provide ways of considering strategies and planning models. The Greens model, tiered vocabulary, teaching in the learning cycle, and curriculum approaches both at the national and state school level. Okay, so that's much more context and we'll be working towards that information. And then your team's analysis and general recommendations. Please note those considerations. Some further resources. The learning materials and readings from week 1 to 6 support your outcomes. However, you may want to have a look at the EALD section of the Australian curriculum to support the needs of the cohort, and then once again refer to curriculum documents such as Scootle. The primary connections resources are excellent, and the Melting Moments is one example of that. If you've done the science unit, I know the new science unit uses primary connections. Undertake wider reading in relation to formal and informal literacy, and as I've mentioned before, I've posted some links in response to Carmen's question on the discussion board. So thank you for that, Carmel. The SLO team has put together some Collaborate sessions that you may like to access. Some of these have been passed already, but the recordings are available. The one that's coming up is academic writing, which is on Tuesday, which could be useful. Research and referencing, which is always useful, so that's one that you could access.
and then study preparation and exam preparation are available as well if you need those. So please take advantage of the things that the Swinburne Online offer. Always useful. So if you have any further questions, please post them on the Q&A section in the discussion board. If you haven't joined the group already, please post a request on the discussion board by Thursday and email me if you have any concerns so that we can sort that out. I'm looking forward to meeting you this Thursday for our open question and answer forum. So please get those questions ready for our evening. So looking forward to meeting you. Thanks for your time. I'm just going to have a little look at my screen. Here are the questions that Neil posed. So if you haven't seen these already, please have a look. Some really useful things there for you to refer to. And then I also want to show you this reading which comes up next week. So this is making sense of literacy, and it's the topic that looks at the 3 dimensions. Here, the 3 literacy dimensions, so operational dimension, cultural dimension, and critical dimension. So I would expect to be seeing this information in your assessment. Here are the assessment breakdowns, so your rubric. Okay, so a pass. Let's have a look at the high distinction. Usually distinction is good. Depth of level and understanding of literacy dimensions. Okay. Work is concise. Evidence of critical insight. Work presents its discussion strategies for improvement in context of the dimensions of literacy. Okay, so we're really looking at the detail in the distinction and high distinction. So please make sure you refer, almost use it like a checklist. I think that's very often a good way to go. Get the highlighter out and just see that you're making sure that you've got definitely all these things in here. Analysis of literacy demands across the curriculum, differentiation of formal and informal literacy learning, evidence of collaboration, and your written expression. So, I will see you on Thursday. Thank you for joining me.